part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
That sound means it's time for Cavs on the Break NBA podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. I'm your host, Chase Smith, and with me, he's the NBA writer for HoopsWire.com. Hey, you started HoopsWire.com. He's our Cavs insider, the national NBA writer, Sam Amico. Sam, happy Thanksgiving, man. How was your holiday week?
It was, hey, anytime I get to eat without guilt, then it's fabulous. So yeah, thank you. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving too, and as well as our other guests who you're about to introduce.
Yes, and also with us, the man, the myth, the legend, my very first podcast partner, JIA. Jay, bro, we've been doing this for like 5-6 years, man.
What is up, Chase? Yes, we have, and it's been a blast the entire 5 to 6 years. It's been absolutely awesome. We've done, and all joking aside, we've done some stuff that I'm really proud of. And it's been awesome to work with you. And I'm so proud of what you've done with this network and where you've taken it. It's been awesome to watch and be a part of, Chase.
Well, I wasn't fishing. All I wanted to say was I love doing this with you, man. And I'm glad we get to keep doing it here on Cavs on the Break. John Sable's sitting this one out tonight. Shouts to Zach for checking this pod out. Hey, let's talk Cavs. What do you guys say?
I think that'd be a great idea.
Let's do it. We've actually been talking before this show for about 30 minutes on a myriad of topics and conversations that I'm sure everyone would love to hear. We'll just leave it at that. It's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I'm glad I can talk to you guys about anything. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think what we got out of that is, as much as we make fun of you, we actually really deeply love you. So
I'll say this: they're making fun of my earrings, and Jay is not surprised that I have my ears pierced. That's all I'm going to say, and we'll just leave it at that. Well, hey, maybe this is surprising to you. The Cavs are 13-8. All right, we're sitting at 3 in the East, behind the Celtics and the Bucks. The last few games, here's what the week 6 slate kind of showed us here. On last Monday, we had a beat down. Like, we crushed the Atlanta Hawks. All right, and I'm going to circle back to all this to the point here in a second. And then we handily defeated the Trailblazers. All right, 114-96. We lost to the Bucks on Friday, day after Thanksgiving, 117-102. We defeated the Pistons in Detroit. Nice to get a road win. And then we just lost to the Raptors on Monday, 100-88. I'm noticing a trend here, guys, and I'm a little concerned. We are beating teams we should, and we're getting destroyed by teams that maybe have said that maybe are better than us. Sam, is that concerning to you?
Not at all. Not until they beat us. Not until those teams beat the Cavs handedly in Cleveland. I think that Raptors game was a schedule loss. You know, you had a tough game against the Pistons on Sunday night. Your starters played the majority of that game because you had to scratch and claw and fight your way back against the Pistons. Then you hop on a plane. Then you head to Toronto. You get there at 2 a.m. And I don't know, the Raptors fans, I'm telling you, are probably the hardest building to play in the NBA. I think the fans are extremely loud and rabid. I think the officials get intimidated. The Raptors use that to their advantage because they play very physical style of basketball, very high energy, and they get away with a little bit more at home. So the Raptors game, look, you're going to have nights like that in the NBA. You're going to have nights like Fridays lost to the Bucks in the NBA. Is it concerning that we're not beating playoff teams on the road? Slightly, but also, Chase, you got to figure, okay, no Jared Allen. You didn't have Jared Allen for all but 12 minutes of the Bucks game. You didn't have him at all against the Raptors. You didn't have Kevin Love. Lamar Stevens is really kind of the perfect counter to the Raptors because he plays their style of basketball, and he was out. So I don't think that's concerning in the big picture. To me, would be more concerning, and I'm sure we'll carry on this conversation, is that, Karis LeVert's not been living up to what they had hoped. Your guy, Isaac Okoro, very up and down.
Easy.
Very up and down. Hey, there's up. I said up in there. And I also had to throw in the down. So I think that, is it concerning? No. To me, look, the big picture is they've won 5 of the last 7 games. They're 13-8. They're in 3rd place in the Eastern Conference. To me, they look like a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference, even when things aren't going perfect.
Jay, what's been your takeaway this week's games?
Actually, I agree with a lot of what Sam said. I mean, the Toronto game, look, Toronto is a bad matchup for us anyway. Toronto is a bad matchup for us, straight up. They're long, they're lanky, they play really good defense, and add to the equation that we don't have Jared Allen, one of our long, lanky defenders. That was going to be an uphill battle. So no, I'm not upset about that game. Not upset about the Buck game. Same thing. We're a little bit beat up. The Pistons game, I actually liked the way we fought back, being out, 4 rotation guys. Donovan probably had to play a little too many minutes that game to get the W, but you get that W on the road. A game I think they probably would have lost last year, to be honest with you. So I'm not concerned at all. I said it a couple weeks ago. I don't know if Sam was on the pod that week or not, but to be a top team in the NBA, you have to win almost all your home games and split on the road. If you split on the road and win almost all your home games, you win 55 to 57 games, and you're a top 4 seed. And that we are kind of on that pace right now. Once we get back to healthy, I'm not worried about it. The one thing I will say is, you brought up Karis LeVert. He's not going to be on this team in 2 months. Mark my words. Mark it, whatever we're at right now in this podcast. Time stamp it. He's not going to be on this team. There's a bunch of teams that are that want to tank this year. He'll be an attractive piece to those teams, with a 2nd round pick added on because of his big expiring contract. He's not going to be on this team. They're going to find a wing who can play defense and shoot threes, and Karis LeVert will not be on this team come playoff time.
All right. I love everything that we've talked about, because I have those thoughts and concerns too. I want to talk about the Bucks game. I want to talk about the Raptors game. I want to talk about Jared Allen. I want to talk about Kevin Love, Karis LeVert. So I want to do a segment right now. This is the first time Jay and Sam has ever heard of this segment. It's called Drs R Us. All right. Where I give you symptoms and you tell me the diagnosis. All right. So you guys are the doctors. I'm the patient. And this makes sense because I was actually sick last week. I had the flu A going around. I missed my wife's family's Thanksgiving, which was really just a huge bummer. I was home, fevers, nausea. It was not good. And so Jeremy and Sam, you guys are doctors tonight. All right. So Drs R Us, Drs I've noticed that when Jared Allen is out, our team changes. What's wrong? See, this is where you give the diagnosis.
Well, if I'm going to be a doctor, I'd like an increase in pay. But no,
well, actually, I'm going to go to the other doctor if you're asking for that. Dr. Jeremy, what's wrong?
Go ahead, Jeremy. You take this one.
This is what I'll say. Well, here, if you want the diagnosis, when you take out one of the best big men / defenders in the league from anybody's lineup, they're not going to be as good a team. I mean, when you take out one of the better big defensive big men in the league, it's going to hurt any team. Could the Cavs use a little more depth up front? Yeah, probably, but who could?
Robin Lopez, isn't it? That was atrocious. What he gave us in Milwaukee, that was Sam. You could have given better minutes. No, Sable's taller. Sam, you're a part of our group. Sable could have gave better minutes.
Sable's too soft.
Than what?
But I think all in all, though, Lopez has been an okay acquisition. There have been nights when he comes out and gives them exactly what they need. A guy who'll grind, a guy who'll hit a couple shots, a guy who'll commit a couple fouls. Yeah, he was bad in that.
He wasn't looking to shoot
about it.
I haven't seen,
but I don't think he's terrible. I think he's been a decent acquisition.
That was the worst third quarter I've seen an NBA player play. It was bad.
It was bad. I mean, I can't even argue with that. But I do think that there's been times where he's played quality minutes, and not just because the lady sitting behind me at one of the games thought he was Anderson Varejao, which was pretty hilarious. I think it was the Magic game. It was the Magic game. So I'm sitting in the stands, and the lady behind me, because if you notice, Lopez always sits on the floor. He doesn't sit on the bench. So he's sitting on the court. And the lady behind me goes, "Why is Andy sitting on the baseline?" And the guy she's with goes, "Excuse me?" She goes, Bergeau's sitting on the baseline. He's not with the rest of his team. She goes, "That's her date or whatever." Goes, "That's not Andy Bergeau. That's Brooke Lopez."
I can see
Robin Lopez.
See where you
Pretty
make
freaking
that
funny
mistake. Yeah, but Chase, I would say, look, he had a terrible quarter. He's active. He's aggressive. I would like to. I think that maybe they need to, go out and try to find, and maybe, what's the kid's name from the G League? Diakate.
Yeah.
That's play. Maybe he'll develop into either your second or third string guy there, and maybe even supplant Lopez as the number 2. If not, you can go sign a Hassan Whiteside or a Tristan Thompson for a non-guaranteed veterans minimum. Those guys are still sitting out there. DeMarcus Cousins. If you get desperate, you feel like you're in a situation where you're desperate, those guys are going to be out there. But I agree with Jeremy. I mean, that's the diagnosis here is you lose one of the top defensive big guys, your main rim protector. It's going to change not everything that you do just on defense, but also offensively.
Sam, do we win that game in Milwaukee if Jarrett Allen doesn't get injured?
No. Chase, Milwaukee's a veteran team. You saw how they turned it on this third quarter. It was like, okay, let's get serious now.
Yeah, because we didn't have Allen. We were up by 12. We had 3 field goals in the third quarter.
I don't think it would have mattered. I think
I do.
Well, Jared Allen's he's not gonna get you more field goals. He's gonna help you defensively. I just don't think that the difference is here, not Jared Allen. To me, the difference is here's a team that won a championship 2 years ago against a team that is good, but again, is still finding its way a little bit and is on the road. If that game were in Cleveland and Jared Allen were healthy, we're building that first half lead. I would think that the Cavs would win that game. But I also think that toward the end of the year, no matter where the Cavs play the Bucks, if things go as planned, they're going to be able to give them a better run wherever they play.
I'm going to give a hot take here, and this might be.
Oh boy,
here we go.
Let me get a drink.
I think Jarrett Allen is more important on the team than Evan Mobley.
Chase, we're the doctors here. No,
Giannis ate Evan Mobley's lunch that game.
Yes,
and
that's true.
It was jarring, and I think Jarrett Allen could at least put up something. I mean, it didn't even. It was awful. If Jarrett Allen goes on, you want Evan Mobley to step in and at least give you something, and it was like he wasn't even out there. It was, oh my gosh, it looked like JV and varsity. It was so glaring. And you look back to last year at the end of the season, I know Evan Mobley's young. I know blah, 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 blah. But I don't see Evan Mobley having the kind of impact that Jarrett Allen has on this team. It's felt when Jarrett Allen this is more than once Jarrett Allen has not been on the team, and we've seen the team kind of lose its identity or not be able to function as they do when he's out there. And Jay, are you with me? Do you think if he is still there, we win in Milwaukee, or was that we were going to lose anyway?
The way we got steamrolled in the third quarter, I don't know.
Unbelievable. I'm going to different doctors. What this is?
I came to Dr. Chase.
We were in complete control of that game. We were in complete control.
We were.
No, but I agree that there's no doubt.
35 was it 35-10? I think we outscored 35-10.
Yeah, we had 10 points in the third quarter. We had 3 field goals and 4 free throws, and half of that was from Isaac Okoro.
Oh boy.
So I mean, Chase, it's obviously you can't disprove a negative, right? There's nothing we can say to disprove what you're saying or prove what you're saying. But I think there's no doubt we would have had a better chance of stemming that tide a little bit with Jarrett Allen in there. So I can't say that you're wrong, Chase. I just can't say that for sure we'd win if he was there.
I was.
I'm going to seek a second opinion. I felt like I was having a heart attack, but Chase, you comforted me when I came to you, so I'll keep you around.
No, well, I'm not the doctor. Sorry, I'm the one that's all fired up and like
Okay.
I could have recorded Friday night. As sick as I was so just appalled and disgusted, and hadn't been that way after a Cavs loss since the play-in game last year in Cleveland against the Hawks.
Well, Chase, just recognize, it's very early. Mobley is 21. We heard what Giannis said after the game. It's like, he's better than me than I was at 21.
Oh, that was pity. That wasn't a compliment.
Okay. Well, you know
that
what?
Was,
Chase, there's no doubt that Evan's playing better over the last 2 weeks, though.
Yes,
and there's
thank
no
goodness. Doubt. Thank goodness. Yeah. He just had a bad night. And look, Donovan Mitchell was bad last night, but you're going to have bad nights. And if you have a bad night against the Milwaukee Bucks, the Toronto Raptors, the Philadelphia 76ers when they're healthy in their building, forget it. You're not going to win.
If you go 8 of 37 from 3 on the road in the NBA, you're not going to win many games.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that with them, the fact that, this is a team that was, when healthy, went into Boston and won a game. That to me is a bigger deal than going into Milwaukee and losing to the Raptors when you're not totally healthy on the road. I just think that those things speak more to the Cavs when they're healthy, that they can do those sorts of things. Finally got LeBron, weight of the world off their shoulders, winning in LA, which is not an easy task as bad as the Lakers are. So I think the positives here far outweigh the negatives when it comes to what they've done through the quarter.
All right. I have a few more symptoms here. Can you guys help me out? Kevin Love hasn't played in a while.
I don't think so.
Kevin Love hasn't played in a while. What's wrong?
I think that, that thumb injury he did in his defense, which is very un-Kevin Love like. He played after the injury. He tried to play that first game. He gave the Cavs nothing, and it was probably because of the injury. So now, if you're Kevin Love, you want to be out there. You love playing with this group. It's very clear. But, look, we're going to need you at the end of the season. If you keep playing, we've all done this. You keep playing when something's bothering you. It doesn't magically go away usually, especially when you start to get a little older, as Kevin is doing in basketball years. So I think that they just said, if this were a play-in game or we're positioning for playoff standings toward the end of the season, then yes, you play, see how you do. But now it's, let's give this some time to heal.
All right, Jeremy, you're a specialist here. I have this feeling, and I don't really know what's causing it. Karis LeVert is on the bench. So what's wrong?
Oh boy.
Well, I think they set Karis out an extra game after they thought he was better. And then he came and played the first game back last night, and he played horrible. And I mean, you probably don't want to give me the Karis LeVert question because I don't think he's any good. I think this is par for the course. I think he's a guy that I said this. Remember beginning of the year what I said? Karis LeVert's good against teams that don't actually play defense. If you don't actually play defense, Karis LeVert will give you some points. He'll, give you some assists. But when teams play pressure defense, he has trouble handling the ball. He has trouble getting his shot off. I think Karis LeVert is what he is, which is a guy who plays pretty good in games that don't really matter because they're not playing real defense. Now that teams are gunning for the Cavs, and now that the Cavs are, one of the top teams in the league, and all the games in the second half of the season are going to have more pressure, Karis LeVert is not going to be a big contributor. And I think that's why there's a reason Karis LeVert was traded twice in a year and a half, because he's not that good. He's not that good. He's a guy, I think he's a decent player on a bad team. He's your 20-point scorer on the bad team. He's your Matt Mitchell for the Cavs back in the day, or Mike Mitchell. He's Mike Mitchell. He's the Mike Mitchell of the Cavs. He's a guy that can score 20 points on a bad team, but he's not going to lift the team. He's not going to lift the players around him. He's not going to make a ton of plays in a big pressure situation. Outside of the Boston game this year, has there been a game where you're like, wow, Karis LeVert really swung that game?
He's had one good game. Good game. The rest have not been good. And I am not to interrupt you, Jeremy, but I was a big Karis LeVert fan when they got him. I was excited for him.
Yeah, you, Jeremy, and John were. I was the only one being like, "Are we sure that this is the savior of the world here?"
You know what? Because you were right, Chase. Because I'd only seen him on the peripheral. I hadn't watched him every night. It's sort of like when you hear when the national guys are calling the Browns games and they only kind of have a surface level understanding of the team, and the guys that watch them every day like us are like, "No, that's not actually accurate."
Wait,
that was the understanding.
What team?
That was the Oh yeah, that's right.
They don't have
you get my point though, right, Chase? We had a we only knew I'm not gonna say Sam knew him, but me personally, I only had a Karis LeVert peripheral view. There was no deep diving on Karis LeVert for me. I just saw what the times I'd seen him play, limited, the numbers were good. And I just didn't realize what I know now. And that's that Karis LeVert is only good against teams that don't play good defense.
Somewhere on a Jazz podcast, they're having the same conversation about Colin Sexton.
Oh my gosh!
There you go.
I'm not kidding you. Yeah. He's not looked good there.
He's averaging 12 points, shooting 33% from the field.
Yeah, he has not looked good.
Last one, and I think this is the last thing that I feel that's wrong. Doctors, I've noticed that the Cavs have lost to the Raptors twice. Like, what's wrong?
Well, let me go first on this one, Sam. The first one, Darius Garland played 11 minutes and then got hurt, or they probably win that game. And that was a game where the Raptors, I thought, were not only overly physical, I thought they were downright dirty at times in that first game of the year. And then yesterday, same like Sam said, it was kind of a scheduling loss. We had to get on a plane leaving Detroit in a game where our starters had to play a lot of minutes because we were down guys. And and I'm sure JB prioritized winning that Detroit game over the Toronto game. And that's why all those guys played big minutes in the fourth quarter. So I do think Sam's right. You chalk up that Toronto loss kind of to the schedule.
I will be more concerned with the Raptors if they can do to the Cavs in Cleveland what they did in Toronto. And I agree with Jeremy. I think the Cavs really had that game in the bag in Toronto, even without Garland in the second half. And that's when Toronto was at full strength too. But yeah, they're physical. They're rangy. They're very, they're a pretty good defensive team. They stick to you. And I just think that can create some issues, but again, JB Bickerstaff said it after the game last night. Let's see what happens when we're at full health. They're a good basketball team, Toronto, not take anything away from them. But let's see what happens when the Cavs are at full strength, playing, on their home floor against this team for once. And they have 2 games against the Raptors at home coming up. So I think that's the big thing. And to me, maybe the Raptors will be one of the teams that the Cavs are fighting playoff positioning for. You just want to make sure you get home court advantage if that's a situation.
Yeah.
Sam, let me ask you this from hearing that press conference, and I heard it too after the game. Do you get the feeling that JB does not like the Toronto Raptors? I get the feeling that I don't think he is a fan. I don't know if it's their style or just the guys. I got the impression that he does not like them.
No, I think that most people don't like the Toronto Raptors, and it's because of the way they play and their crowd. I'm not kidding you. As far as anything I've experienced, far and away the best in the NBA. They are just relentless on the refs, on the opposing players. It is we hear hostile environment all the time. That truly is. I mean, and I say that in a good, respectful way toward their fans, but it's a very difficult building to play in. And I don't think JB likes them. I don't think a lot of teams like them because they're very physical and they dare the refs to call stuff. It's like, look, we're going to keep fouling. Are you going to slow down the game and call a foul every 5 minutes or every 5 seconds? No, you're not. So we're just going to keep fouling and dare you to make the call. And, the refs, it kind of, officials are human too, kind of plays mind games with them. So that roster is built. It is a scary matchup for the Cavs. It really is. It's, you look at other teams like, that are good, like the Celtics and stuff, and you think, okay, those teams are good, but they're not matchup nightmares. The Raptors, if they come into Cleveland and win, are going to prove, this is a matchup nightmare.
Well, that's a bleak diagnosis on that Raptors symptom. But doctors, I thank you so much. That's all my copay could cover. And so I appreciate your help. Drs R Us there. Yeah. What'd you guys think of that?
Just rub some stuff on it, Jace. It'll be fine.
Rub some stuff on it. Okay. That'd be good. Well, hey, let's take a quick break. Let's hear from a good friend at DraftKings. And when we come back, we'll look at week 7 and week 8 slate, offer some predictions, and then close the show out. So stick around. Cavs on the break. We'll be right back.
Ohio, listen, I have some great news for you. DrafKings Sportsbook is coming to the Buckeye State, and Press Play Podcast has sponsored with them to help you get the most bang for your buck. And it won't be long until you can bet on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home. To celebrate, all new customers will receive $200 in free bets when you sign up today using our promo code P3Cavs. That's capital P, the number 3, capital C, capital A, capital V, capital S, P3Cavs. Plus, 5 lucky customers will win a $100,000 free bet. You heard that right. $100,000 free bet. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you, right now, if you sign up for free, $200 in free bets just for signing up with our promo code, no deposit required. And you'll be entered to win a $100,000 free bet when you sign up. I just did it. It is super simple. It's easy. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today, wherever you get your apps on your phone. It is the best. You'll receive that $200 in your account the moment sports betting becomes legal in Ohio, looking like January 1st. You don't want to miss out on this incredible offer. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966, 21 years, ages, and older. You have to be physically present in Ohio. Eligibility restrictions apply. See terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory license requirements. 1 entry per customer. $200 will be issued as 8 $25 free bets. No purchase necessary for sweepstakes. Void where prohibited. Ends the first day DraftKings is allowed to operate in Ohio. See terms at dkng.co/OH.
What's up, everyone? I'm Holly Wetzel.
And I'm Tybus Powell.
And we are your hosts of The Orange is Oranger, a Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. We give you all the dog pound coverage that you'll need to get you through the regular season, hopeful postseason, and I'd say off-season, Tyvis, but is there really ever an off-season for this team?
Thankfully for our podcast, Holly, there really never is when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Don't miss our breakdown of each week's matchup, game recaps, and any and all news out of Berea to feed your Browns appetite. As we know, Holly, dogs gotta eat.
Yes, they do. So hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode of the Orange is Oranger, Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
The R&R podcast going to be rocking and rolling with you because football season is underway. College, Ohio State, the Power Fives, the MAC, the Browns. Michael Regai, are you ready to rock and roll with some football?
Kenny, I've been ready. This is our time of year. This is what R&R is all about. We're going to be with you every week. Kenny just said it, Browns, NFL, Ohio State centric. So you got to stay with us all fall and winter long here on R&R.
That's right. The Regai and Rhoda podcast coming to you here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Subscribe now and don't miss a show.
Hey everybody, I'm Gary.
And I'm Jason. Opening cards as a kid, no matter what was in the pack, you always had that stick of chewing gum. Well, it turns out Gary and I opened up a box of 86 Tops last year, and let me tell you, the chewing gum does not age well.
Join us on the Ball Card Show,
the sports podcast for the sports collector.
All right, we are back. Cavs on the break in the house. Sam Amico, Jeremy, and Akron. We're talking to all Cavs basketball. We just debuted a brand new segment, Drs R Us. That was a ton of fun. Jay, Sam, thanks for playing along. Here's what we got coming down the pike this week as far as the slate of games. On Wednesday, when you're listening to this today, we have a game tonight at The Rock. You all should go against the 76ers, 7 p.m. NBA League Pass. Make sure to check that game out. Then we play Friday. We host the Magic at 7:30 at The Rock as well. Saturday, we are at MSG. We play the Knicks. That closes out week 7 of games. Jeremy, what are some things you're looking to take away here from the week 7 slate? What are some things you like to see from the Caps?
I think we should win both those games. I think
There's
even
3. There's
shorthanded.
the Sixers, the Magic, and the Knicks.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think we should win. I'll say what we should win the first 2. I think we should win Wednesday. I think we should win Friday. I think we should win both those games handily. I think it's like you talked about earlier. Are we concerned at all about the past? No, right now I'm not. If we come out and win these next 2 home games, I will definitely not be concerned. We're already 3 games better than we were at this point last year. I think at the 20 game mark last year, we were 10-10. This year we were 13-7. So we're on a better pace than we were. And we thought we were doing pretty well last year at that. So, but coming up with the slate, I think I want to win. I want to win these next couple of games convincingly. I know the 76ers have had some injury issues of their own. So that's my take, Chase. I think we should.
That was such a good stat. Pull last year's record at this time. Didn't it? Sam, can you believe we're in presence of JIA?
That's why I call him the good doctor. Yeah, man. It's pretty cool. I would say.
What a monologue there.
Yeah, no, and I think he's right. You want to take care of business, as he said. Jeremy hit the nail on the head. I'm going to write that on HoopsWire someday and not give you any credit, but it's really true. It's true. You got to take care of business at home. If you can do that, then you can not be so concerned on the road. And the Sixers game is going to be interesting. That's a real interesting one because they do have Embiid. They don't have Harden or Maxey. Maxey's notorious
a Cavs killer. Oh
yeah.
My gosh.
So
him and Garland have some weird thing going on. You notice that? Garland and Maxey, they have some sort of rivalry. I don't know if they like each other or don't, but they both want to go at each other's throats.
I think they do. I think they like each other. They're friends somehow, and that really kind of brings out the competition in them. But they really go at it. So, Sixers aren't terrible without those two, though. They still have Harris. They still obviously Embiid's a huge issue.
Yeah.
Especially with the Cavs not having Jared Allen. So, that's the game to me. Like, okay, get this one. It may not be easy, but get this one. And then, last time they played the Magic at home, which was earlier this year. I was at that game, Jeremy. What happened? It was close for a while, right?
It was close for a while. We pulled away late. We ended up winning by, I think, 18 or something like that.
Right.
Chase's boy who came out, played well early. Actually, Paolo had a great game. Paolo Banchero, I think, scored 30 and looked really good. It almost felt like one of them nights where the Cavs were toying with them. They knew they could turn it on at any moment.
That's kind of the way it goes against the Magic. I think everybody does that. It's like, they're
that roster's bad.
Right.
That roster's
they're young.
Bad. That's a bad roster, though.
They're young. Cavs roster like 3 years ago.
Yeah,
right.
It's a bad roster.
It's like we're young and we only have one guy who's actually very good, but we're going to try to tell you we've got 7.
Wow, Suggs slander on this podcast.
Magic slander. So, and then you have the Knicks, which is that's a tough spot. I think the Cavs, to me, it's like I'm willing to reserve judgment on some of these guys, maybe LeVert a little bit, even though it's growing real old. In that when Rubio comes back, some of these guys, he will make better players. That was kind of his specialty last year, was guys who were out of sorts. Rubio would get them
on the money,
would get them back in their flow, and I think when he gets back, then you can say, okay, right now I got to get rid of LeVert. Nothing's working. He can't shoot. He's proving Jeremy right. And I do think you're right, Jeremy, is that, yes, he tends to flourish against bad teams or teams that aren't playing defense. But
this back half of the show, we had a masterful monologue from Jeremy and Sam with the Rubio callback. Like, Jay, you loved that callback, man. Can you believe we get to be in this greatness?
Let me say this about Rubio as well. The ball never stuck when Rubio was on the court.
No, never.
The ball never stuck. It was, and this, the risk of sounding corny, it was poetry in motion at times with Rubio on the court last year. It was what basketball was intended to look like. And I did not know, I underestimated him as a player and as a leader till I saw him play every night. Sort of like the opposite with LeVert. I thought LeVert was good because of what I saw on the peripheral. I didn't know how good Rubio was until he got here.
Well, and I think
I don't think it can be. I don't think we can understate how important he is to this team. And they'd probably laugh at you nationally if you said this, but I'm telling you, there's something about this guy that clicks with this group of guys.
Yes.
And he makes that offense look so much smoother. So I'm couldn't be more excited to see him play. And I'm hopefully next month or so, he should be out there.
It's not a big surprise. I mean, last year, guys, if you remember when he got hurt, about the rest of the way, they kind of played about 500 basketball, a little bit better than 500 basketball. And I think he's really good for Darius Garland. I think that I think Garland, just watching him and practicing against him, admittedly, Garland has admitted, helps him become better. And he's not just saying that. It's very true. I think that watching Rubio control the offense is good for Garland to see.
I asked Rubio about this at Media Day. Do you remember this, Sam? I don't know if you were up there, but I asked Rubio, I said, hey, how much was having the opportunity to play with Garland and kind of mentor him a factor in re-signing with the team? And he said, well, I don't know if I need to teach him much. He's an all-star. So I just and he kind of shrugged it off, but I kind of felt like, oh man, that might've been a bad question. But he kind of feels like Garland is, I don't know if I don't know what he could have said there, but I was kind of shocked at his response because I agree. I felt like there was some camaraderie and some kind of like master apprentice kind of
I
stuff
don't care.
going on.
Even if it's understated, like he doesn't have to come out and tell him. It's just, I think the presence and
him watching him.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I will say this, they even said it. I mean, Colin Sexton, when he was on the team last year, said, we tend to get a little wild out there. And what Ricky does so well is he comes in and just gets everybody calmed down. He's almost like the guy who, when there's a chaotic argument, political argument or something, comes in and adds perspective to both, and that's what he does. He's kind of like the leader and the teacher and the peacemaker on the court for them. So
Sam, you're the Rubio to my Garland, and Jeremy's Donovan Mitchell.
that
we got
be
going on here.
Yeah. You guys need me
because we brought Jeremy in on the pod. It was just me and you, and then we brought Jeremy in, and
it was mass chaos until I showed up when you guys were just doing the orange and brown together.
That wasn't even the name of it. So yeah, it was just chaos.
Orange is orange.
Orange is orange.
Like, the orange is brown. Whatever you guys were doing over there.
Yeah. It didn't become orange is orange until I got involved. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think that's a big thing that people forget about is Rubio's impending return, and I think that will help them take it up a notch from an already pretty good first quarter.
Well, I felt like this was a already pretty good podcast. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Yeah,
yes.
I think it was.
But
so
before we go, Chase, before we go, I got a hot take for you.
Jeremy's going for the junkyard dog. This is it. He's going for the fences here.
I think he's already got it.
I'm going to drop a name on you guys of a player who has actually played here for a short span in the past, who I think is going to end the season on the Cavs roster. You guys ready?
Yes.
This guy, would you be interested in a 6'6" swing man who over the last 4 years is shooting over 40% from three? This year, he's one of the most efficient players in the league. He's averaging 15 points in only 20 minutes a night, shooting 41% from the three-point line.
Jordan Clarkson.
Alex Burks. Burks. He spent 34 games here in 2018.
Yeah.
But he's kind of a renaissance as a player. He was not a great 3-point shooter early in his career, but the last 4 years, he's been over 40% all 4 years. I think he's a guy who could really fit. He signed a 3-year deal with the Knicks a couple of years ago. I think he's making $10 million. He is a guy I could see the Cavs add, and I think he'd fit right in. A guy who's an efficient scorer, a guy who doesn't need a ton of shots, who can come off the bench and hit threes, veteran presence. I could totally see Alec Burks ending up on the Cavs to end this season.
Wow.
Mark it down, write it down.
Sam, dude, Jeremy's giving you all sorts
Alec
of content
Burks.
for Hoopswire.
Sources
say
Cavs
interested.
Alec Burks. Alec
The
Burks
Cavs
would be a member of the Cavs.
Sources say Alex Burks is on the Cavs radar. That's all you got to throw out.
You know what's so great about that is I could write that, and NBA Central account will immediately retweet it. They do that with me all the time. I'm like, gosh, I could pretty much say anything, and they're going to put it out there, which I'm always grateful for.
Well,
But
what do you think I do on this podcast? I just say anything. We put it out there.
Right. Well, I think Jeremy pretty much nailed down the junkyard dog with that comment.
It wasn't pretty good, but that just made it a spectacular podcast.
Yeah,
Jay. That was it.
No, but that's a great point. That's the kind of guy that they're still kind of looking for. And he's a veteran guy who can shoot the ball well. He's good, great, really good from the mid-range, always plays within himself, plays within the team. That's, him. Yeah. Terrence Ross is another name to consider from the Magic.
Who I threw out last show with John, and John immediately give you credit. I said Terrence Ross is a guy I can see the Cavs.
That's the way it should work.
I said Terrence Ross is a guy, a Terrence Ross type I can see the Cavs, looking for. And John immediately said, "That's what Sam Amico says." Terrence Ross.
Yeah. Well, that's just the way it goes, Jeremy. I just give no one else credit and act like all my stuff's original.
Well, that does it for this episode of Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Thank you all so much for downloading and listening. Shouts to the Press Play Podcast Network for making this possible. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Cavs on the Break. We always follow back. We always do. Shouts to DrafKings Sportsbook. Listen, download the app, sign up using our promo code P3Cavs to receive $200 in free bets when gambling becomes legal in January. Federal restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966. This must be 21 years or over to participate. Physically present in Ohio to play, and eligibility restrictions apply. See terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Follow Sam on Twitter at Amico Hoops. Catch all of his works and writings at HoopsWire or on Twitter at Wire Hoops. You can follow Jeremy on Twitter at Jeremy in Akron. Jeremy, tell us about this incredible shoe giveaway that you do this time of year. I meant to hit it at the top of the show and we just forgot. I'm so sorry.
That's right.
Shoe giveaway, man. This is just an incredible thing that you've started to do a couple years ago.
So real quick, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. A few years back, I just wanted to buy a couple kids nice shoes for Christmas because I know growing up with not super rich, a working class family, how much like a cool pair of shoes meant for your confidence, and it's a practical gift on top of something that kids love in the school. So started out with just me buying a couple kids shoes. Last year at Balloon 2, we did an entire inner city school in Akron, and we're not talking like Walmart. We're talking Nike, LeBron's, Jordans, all of that. So now it's to the point where I just have a bunch of people that help, and I'm incredibly grateful. And we're going to once again be able to buy a whole school in Akron brand new shoes. So it's a blessing. It's a get to for me. It might be a little bit of work, but it's something I get to do and I love to do. And it's in no way a burden. It's just something I love. And Chase, thank you for letting me bring that up. I just, it's the joy of my year every year at Christmas time to do this.
If anyone wants to help or donate, how do they what do they need to do?
Follow me on Twitter, like you said, at Jeremy and Akron JI. Shoot me a message. There's a couple almost all the kids are accounted for. We have a couple maybe out there that you could help, or even we can get you on a list for next year and help you then. Or if we even, one thing we want to expand to do is if a teacher at a school or somewhere in Akron has a kid that's struggling and they might notice that he doesn't have shoes or has shoes that are a mess, they could get in touch with me and I could get him a pair of shoes. So that could also be a way you help. So just follow me on Twitter, shoot me a message if you want to be involved and help, and we'll find a way for you to help. Thank you, Chase.
Love it. Yeah, man. I think Sam already gave you the Junkyard Dog Award, Jay. You just start putting all these on a mantle somewhere. You win it every time.
Stop.
Sam, any final thoughts, my man?
I just want to know if you were really sick on Thanksgiving, because a lot of people fake sick to get out of going to their in-laws' house.
No, this is the best I've felt since last Monday. I was not feeling well at all.
I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you. How are you feeling? You weren't feeling well either.
That's why I don't win the junkyard dog, because I say stupid stuff like that. But yeah, I was down and out for about 4 days. Yeah. Had to miss a podcast I missed 2 with Jeremy and John. So who knows what they were saying behind our backs. But
you didn't listen?
Well, I only listened to the part now I'll listen, knowing that John gave me credit for something. But yeah, no, I'm doing much better now. Back at the gym,
There you go. All is right in the world. Jeremy, Sam, it's great seeing you all. Thanks for your time tonight. Mike Breen, take us out.
Congratulations, Cleveland. Your decades-long wait is finally over. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.